Use Amal Dissanayaka, who's going to talk to us about the changing role from defenders to challengers in the context of wildlife protection measures implemented in Moneragala District in Sri Lanka. Over to you, Amal, and I'll let you know 2 minutes before the end of your talk.
I think you know about Sri Lanka. It's a small island of the Indian Ocean, and with a high biodiversity as an island. And my topic is from defenders to challengers in the context of the wildlife protection measures implemented in Moneragala district of Sri Lanka. So when it comes to the I'll start with the introduction to the traditional farming. It has two main components: upland and wetland or the lowland cultivation. Basically, upland means it's the beginning point of the cultivation of that country, and with using primary techniques and rain-fed farming. It's a slash and burn farming, as you know. But when it comes to the developed stage at the starting of the kingships periods, we have some sort of developed hydrological system. It's an irrigated farming system, mainly dedicated for paddy cultivation. In those, both concepts are now we are practicing. This image I cited from the FAO publication. They identified this system as a cascade system or the Elanga system, which is one of the most sustainable systems in the world. But unfortunately, we are not practicing after some of the modifications in the agricultural sector. In this sector, people share the common land with the wild animals, especially with the herbivorous animals, birds, and all other animals. You can see there are one area for the people, one area for the paddy land, another area for the forest, and just not the concept of the tank. This is the concept of the village. In this village, there is a significant area for the animals as well. When it comes to this image, you can clearly understand what's the tank and how it provides space for the animals as well.
That's actually right. You can also use the pointer if you like.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, thank you.
Once you finish reading.
Right. I hope it's clear. You can see this the Kururu Palwa, which calls the bird loss. It's a collective farming area farmed by all of the farmers. That's a responsibility of the entire farmers of the group, and they have to provide their labor and resources for that area. They will not harvest that area that's dedicated for the animals, especially for the herbivorous animals. The old days we practice that, but when it comes to the commercialization, we are not practicing that. That is the term of the Kururu Palwa. You can go through this definition. It was customary to leave two strips of paddy fields at either end of each tract called Kururu Palwa bird loss. So, all right. And it's not only from the farmer's point of view, it's also from the point of view of the country. In the ancient times, Sri Lanka found the first animal sanctuary with transforming the Buddhism from India to the Sri Lanka. At the beginning stage, that the first king who found the Buddhism, he established a sanctuary for the animals as well. That's I'm not sure whether the facts and figures of the historical information, but it's still existing there under the Department of Wildlife Conservation. And when it goes to the evidences of the written evidences in Mahavamsam, it's one of the main sources of the Sri Lankan history. This king, Kimbuddhadasa, established the veterinary service for the entire wildlife. That's the historical story of the country. What I talk about, that means we had a good interaction between the animal and the human for the last. But when it comes to the colonial period, the plantation sector was performed well and introduced large number of plantations such as tea, rubber, cinnamon, and in the wet zone. And the dry zone was a bit of neglected because actually it was not profitable, not for profits. So At the same time, pandemics and some starvations in the rural sector, the entire sector was collapsed. This is the map developed by Sir John King in 1905. It includes this dotted map. Every dot says a tank. That means a cascade system. It says this is the clear area. It's the wet zone. This is a dry zone, where the people need more water, and that's how we practice the dry zone cultivation with the cascade system. Then after become a colony, this area, the dry zone, developed as a commercial cultivation area to tea, rubber, cinnamon, and coconut as well. So that area was neglected, and people transformed to wet area and wet zone, and thereafter found in the Department of Wildlife and Department of Forest, and later government has understood that is not the correct way. We have to resettle the people in the rural areas to gain the production of the staple foods, and that's the point of turning point in the agricultural system. Then people come back to the areas. The government already demarcated the boundaries for the national forest and wildlife sanctuaries. So people have to share the common land again with the conflict. This is the modern result of the conflict. As you know, it's an umbrella term. There are so many conflicts between the human and animals, like monkeys, peacocks, and a lot of herbivorous animals. So these are not the damage from daily birds, but these are some evidences from the same area. But my focus is to the human-elephant conflict. These are the figures from the Sri Lanka from 2006 to 2022. How does it affect for the elephant and human population? Annually, we lost nearly 400 elephants, including 140 or nearly 100 farmers' lives. They are mostly breadwinners, and farmers from the agriculture field put their families into deeper trouble after losing their lives. So even we, according to the results of the last elephant census, we have nearly 7,000 or 6,000 elephants. If we continue this rate, what with the result within the next 4 or 5 years, elephant population will be decreased drastically. So this figure says the influence of the problem, and based on my study, the objective was to identify the community relationship against the authorities related to manage human-wildlife conflict or the human-elephant conflict, and explain the reasons behind the reactions. So these are I'm not going to explain furthermore because we are running behind the time. So the finding are people were not satisfied the actions taken by the government and authorities because they promote electric fences and thunderflies, which were provided by the public sector to minimize HEC. People are not satisfied with that options. And the majority of farming communities is unsatisfied the role of public sector authorities. These are the figures, how far they satisfy with the agrarian development, wildlife conservation, and forest conservation departments to manage this issue. So let's move into the reasons. The implementation of some controversial projects, especially we have some demarcations like sensitive forest and residual forest areas. Residual forests are not very sensitive but dedicated for the animals. In the last few decades, the governments offer that areas to the multinational companies to grow sugarcane, banana, and so many food items because they are looking for foreign investments to the country. But people started to claim against that organizations because they are against the law. Government couldn't transform the law. So, but with the connections, they use that land. What people are saying, when they are coming to that land, animals lost their habitats and feeding lands. So animals are likely to invade the farmers' land because these people establish very strong electric fences and technologies to keep animals away from their lands. So where can animals go? They have no option, so they invade the farmers' places because farmers have no strong protection measures. Another thing is implementation of the low quality or unnecessary safety precautions. These are the this is an example from some of the dry zone, the electric fence. There's not quality. Elephants can easily break them. In your right-hand side, that's one of my field experiences. We found this elephant fence. It is constructed in the slopy land nearby the river. That means the farmers are complaining against this because when water level is going up or increases, this slopy land, when it meets the fence automatically switched off and elephants can break it easily. While the reason behind that, there is a most prominent person who's practicing sand mining, so influence of that person, they don't move this fence into the correct place. So if they move this fence, he cannot practice the sand mining. That is how national and regional politics and powers spoils the problem. And some insufficient law enforcement against illegal activities like that sand mining project, and also some cattle farmers put their cattle into the forest areas by breaking down the electric fences. It also increases the problem because cattle are spoiling the grounds. Elephants, there are so many varieties, but Sri Lankan elephants are mostly like to have fresh food sources, not spoiled by other animals. So, and also, there is a main point in that study, the controversial interaction between the community and the authorities, because at the beginning point, when wildlife departments or the department of the forest, when they are going to establish the boundaries, demarcate the boundaries, the contradictions start in that point. The people claim for their lands and that department claim for their own lands. Right. In that case, people do not believe these precautions for them. They believe these precautions for something else. And this point is also important. Then this elephant transit home of Udavalava at the bordering district. So they are feeding in this place. They rehabilitate the elephants, the cub elephants especially. They are fed with very perishable fruits, vegetables. These are the leaves in this picture. These are the leaves, jackfruit leaves. So after they are getting matured, they also find these type of foods, and they are invading into the farmers' lands as well. They are not familiar with the forest. And another thing, these people can observe these orphanage for any time. So people are very friendly with the people. They interact with the people. So they think they can go to the village and have some food, and the issue is going further spoils. As a result, people do not believe these precautions for them. Look, that lady used this electric fence to keep dry her clothes. Yeah, that's how attitudes change, because people do not, their tax rupees are working for them. They think their tax rupees are working for the companies and regional authorities. That's not their own point. So that's how they had to think. So, and another thing, people used to, likely to use some illegal activities to kill animals. This image shows the modern technique, which it's a gun trap. So, and this is some traditional technique. It's also a trap. Final result would be the death of the animal. But in this case, the important thing is they cannot target. Sometimes important, very sensitive animals can be also damaged. But in traditional practice of their hunting, so they had a culture of hunting. They select the invulnerable, unvulnerable, especially they omit the female animals and pregnant animals. They kill only male matured animals. So these are the references. And I had a video, but we leave it at here, so that's fine. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Amal. So he is helping me today with the session. So any questions to Amal after that fascinating presentation? No? Yes, Ida? Great.
Oh, sorry, we're not there.
Okay, do you want to get that one over there and then we'll do that?
That's always there.
Okay.
Oh.
Ida, over to you.
No, thank you so much for that. That was great, and especially after your late flights as well. Bless you. Yeah, I was wondering, is there any way that the locals can get their views across about how dissatisfied they are with the management interventions? Is there any way of them being able to do that?
Actually, not from the government, but from the some private and non-governmental organizations. They are also led by the retired people from the government sector, because they are dissatisfied the actions from the public funds. So, but they know, as same as I'm also representing the government institute, I also resigned last year. So because we are doing the same thing, repeating the same thing, but we are spending money on it. So it's meaningless projects. So Center for the Environmental Justice, and that's one of the main organizations. They are actually they are trying to enforce the law, and they are dealing with the judicial system, not with the legislations. And so that is the main part who trying to enforce the law and try to solve this issue. But before last 2-3 years, there was a good signs from the government, but after coming the pandemic situation and economic turmoil, all those systems has been disappeared, and no proper intervention from the government so far. When things are coming rising as the news headlines, when reporting the people deaths in different areas, so some ad hoc processes are implemented, but those are not sustainable and long-term solutions. Still, that's the situation.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.